Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this talk about the sustainability and how we can work with BIM and AI for the project success. My name is Mostafa Saber. I'm speaking to you from Sustainable City, Dubai, which is very relevant to our subject today for our talk. So, starting with a quick introduction. I come from a mixed background. I started as an architect and I was fascinated by the world of BIM since 2007, and I've been using it ever since. I then moved into design and project management along with BIM management, of course. And recently I've joined Diamond Developers, a subsidiary of C Holding, and Diamond Developers tell you more about it. It specializes in master planning and designing of live, work, thrive concept, future ready, scalable cities under the Sustainable City brand. So we have these major uh, communities that we have in Dubai, Oman, Yas Island, in Abu Dhabi, and many more to come, inshallah. So continuing with our presentation, we're going to start today with the common challenges that everyone almost is facing in architecture, engineering, and construction industry. What it takes to collaborate or to create a really good environment for everyone to collaborate with and to achieve the targets, and how to use BIM and AI to achieve that in a sustainable way. Starting with the unexpected mistakes and the horrible thing that could happen out of misunderstanding at the construction site, and the mistakes that happen that creates this gap. It really creates a big gap between what was designed and what was understood by the construction team and executed. And sometimes the client is a big part of it because the client is not always rational with his requirements, of course. So these are the common challenges that we face as clients, or the fears that we have as a client that things might go wrong, it might not go as planned in the design stage or as a vision as we expected it to be. And now let's see how a typical scenario would be. And in a typical scenario in an architecture project, we would start with a design team. This design team comes from different backgrounds. Of course, they have engineering departments. They could have specialists as well. There is a construction team that will be involved eventually. There is or there is not a BIM team involved with the project, I expect all projects now to have BIM teams, and there might be a sustainability team as well, a specialized team for consulting about sustainability. Now, the problem with this scenario is there is a barrier of communication between these different entities. They might not have the seamless communication that you expect to have, and the transition of information from stage to another could be affected. And on top of all these parties, the one appointing them is the frustrated client who doesn't really know what to do in this case. And the solution for this would be a different scenario. Let's see what's the better scenario. And the better scenario in this case, which we adapt in our company here in Diamond Developers, is having the client, the design team, the BIM team, the construction, and the sustainability teams all working together for a common cause in a collaborative environment. And this means that everyone is involved from the beginning to achieve the goals of the project, and they all understand the requirements of the project from start to end. They are all involved to give their required feedback. This results, of course, in a happy client And the integrated way that we deliver projects in this manner creates a successful project delivery, since we are integrating the input of all stakeholders, as you can see. But this also requires some feedback, or requires some effort from the client, and it doesn't happen by chance. So what does it really require? First, it requires rethinking the procurement strategy. So if you're a client and you're working on a typical project that is design, bid, build, then maybe you will not have access to this method of project delivery, since the contracting team might not be available at the beginning of the project. And if you're working with this scheme, then you will need to rethink how you engage your specialists, your designers, and your contracting team in the project to get the critical information that it might have on the early stages of design. This also requires a collaborative environment. So you cannot do this without a CDE, for example. You cannot do this without creating a contract that is binding to all parties, and creating this synergy between them, creating these KPIs for each stakeholder to understand what they have to do and how they should interact with other stakeholders in the project. And this creates a common goal that uh, that really drives the success of your project. Now, let's see from a sustainability point of view how we achieve things here in Diamond as an example. So we have these three pillars that starts with SEE, which creates the C Holding brand, which we also use in our C Institute. The social sustainability, which is achieving the live, work, thrive concept, creating economic opportunities for the society. Health and well-being is also a big aspect, a big target for us, to make sure that we provide the infrastructure and the facilities for our community. Environmental sustainability, which is well known to all of you experts in sustainability, uh, regarding food, energy, water, selecting our products, checking the embodied carbon for each of these, and also the mobility and waste. Economic sustainability, we have the idea of circular economy. One of our companies deal with this, Tadweer, which deals with recycling the waste that is created by the cities and the communities that we create and manage. The cost saving and green finance, and creating jobs for the society, which serves multiple goals as well. But let me focus on the gap that we have, which is the idea of today's presentation. So if we take energy as an example, there is a gap between design and what is being planned and what is actually being achieved on site. According to RIBA Plan of Use guide that was released in 2021, the gap is huge between the heat consumption, the electricity consumption when it comes to design, and comparing it to the actual achieved on site. And you can see that this gap reaches an enormous amount in the education sector, for example, when it reaches 1.9 ratio between the design and actual. This is really a big concern to any client. If you're delivering a project and you're not delivering on your promises, you're not delivering what you created this community to be, that would be a real problem. But how do we bridge this gap? Let's see how we deal with it. So first of all, as we discussed before, engagement is key. The first thing is to engage the right people, and then to calculate using BIM and AI tools, we're using these tools to calculate the actual values of energy consumption, for example, or calculate the embodied carbon in our buildings. And this is created based on assumptions that we have at the design stage, but also based on informed decisions by involving the right people. The third step would be to update this information. You cannot assume something at the design stage and expect it to be followed to the letter uh, till the end. Because during the design development, you might have different information. During the construction or procurement of specific materials, the selection of your envelope elements, you might have new information. So make sure that you capture this information and take it back into your calculation to update it accordingly. And then when the project is actually constructed, make sure to measure it, because measuring at site, this is something that many people don't do. You have to measure what you have actually constructed. Once this is measured, you have real information of how the building is behaving, how the equipment is interacting with the environment you put it into. And then take this information back to the team to make sure that they are engaged correctly based on the right information. Now let's see how BIM and AI really helps in sustainability. And when speaking about uh, BIM and AI for a client, I have to mention the developer priorities. And these are not mentioned in order. It's weighted information. So each of these has specific weight in every organization. Of course, for us, sustainability is key. We also have and care about time, cost, and quality of the projects that we deliver. How does BIM benefit us as a client in this case? BIM has the capability to give us data-driven decisions. So we do not just decide based on assumptions. We decide based on data that we get from the involved members and from the design models that are created. Of course, coordination, accuracy of information and extracted drawings, energy modeling, this is key for us, quantity takeoff. And one of the things that are being considered in our BRQs, for example, is embodied carbon. So as we progress through the project, we calculate the project quantities, and we also calculate the embodied carbon out of these selected products. Collaboration environment. Without this, of course, without CDE, for example, you cannot actually deliver in a collaborative environment. And then comes AI, the new technologies that are emerging right now, and we are all witnessing how this is revolutionizing the whole industry and other industries as well. So in our case, this is very helpful for feasibility studies, quick and informed feasibility studies that are being created using AI. Also visualization to help us with visualizing our ideas, especially at the vision stage, at the very early stages. You don't really have a 3D model, a complete information about how the building looks. You need AI to help you with this. And of course, for data analysis to give feedback to the designers and recommendations maybe in the future as well. Let's see this a bit in detail. How does BIM benefit a client? And I would say the first thing is the initial stages. What we do here as a developer is to create initial master plans, initial massing for our projects to understand how the building will perform or how this community will perform. Of course, understanding the heat, understanding aspects like environmental aspects in general, like wind and environmental comfort or microclimate. Things like these are very helpful in the beginning to create options. and to understand the impact of these options. Of course, later on, we have 4D simulations that will help us understand how the project is planned for execution and if it's really practical or it requires some adjustments. It helps us also later on site when we have these detailed models to compare them to site and to understand the site progress against what was planned and if there is any deviation that we need to take care about. And the last thing would be, of course, creating an asset register of everything in our buildings and communities by creating 3D scanning, comparing it again to our as-built models to make sure that it's as accurate as possible and that we can actually use it for asset management later on. Another thing that I have to highlight here is a man is only as good as his tools. This has been said almost 100 years ago, and nowadays I can also say that a tool is only as good as the team using it. So while working with such projects, make sure that the team you select is well equipped with the tools they need, and they also know how to use these tools because without the knowledge embedded in these team workflows, then they might not perform as expected, even if they have the best tools in the world. Now, let's see how AI is being used for feasibility. This is an example of a software that we have recently tested, and it's really working great when we need a quick calculation of a certain development to understand according to this FAR or according to this information and plot area how many floors can we get out of this? How many units can we create on this development? And what would be the areas of these units? And the tabulation for this and the information behind it is really great that we can extract within few hours, if not minutes. It's efficient, it's fast, and it's easy to use as well and to learn. And based on this, it's not only this information of areas, we can also get financial information about the development, how much it will cost us to construct, based on certain parameters that we will input in such software, and extract the revenue and get what is the expected revenue for such development. So this is really helpful at the time of creating feasibility studies. Another aspect of AI that we use is of course, using it for visualization. And this is an example of some images that I created in almost 10 minutes using AI tool that is well known to everybody, Midjourney. And it really creates impressive quality of visualization based on just text prompts and maybe a screenshot of the previous output that we got from the 3D massing that was created using the other software for feasibility studies. Now, I'd like to close my talk with the key takeaways. If you're in a position where you're creating strategies for your company, especially as a client, make sure that you really select what you're asking your team to do. Make sure that you respect the values of the business, the requirements of the project, understand really what is happening behind the scene, and not randomly ask for the best or the full information that you can get out of a BIM model. The second thing is to keep learning and unlearning. It's very important in this age that you keep upgrading your team, keep upgrading yourself, and remembering that this is a continuous changing world that we live in. Thank you all, and I'd like to connect with you. You can scan the code to visit our website, know more about Diamond Developers, C Holding, and get the LinkedIn profile for me as well. Thank you so much.